Hello, welcome to Issues with Cartoons, the show where we discuss cartoons and comic books. My name is Carl Lucas.
And I'm Kyle Wendell.
And today we'll be covering Daredevil, Man Without Fear, issue 168, which is significant as the first appearance of Elektra.
Once he loved her, now she is his most deadly enemy.
And this is continuing our Week Without Fear, our Daredevil coverage, leading up to Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah, and we as fans of the character and as fans of the Netflix show have a lot of...
Love the Netflix show.
Yeah, have a lot of reverence and respect for a lot of Daredevil runs, but most especially, unsurprising to anyone who follows Daredevil, the Frank Miller run is incredibly pivotal to comics and to Daredevil comics. And though he had done art chores before this is his first issue as both writer and artist, with contributions and embellishments by Klaus Janson. And this is also the debut of Elektra, who is an incredibly important character. I don't need to tell anyone here who's listened to our coverage so far how important Elektra is.
You know who Elektra is if you're here.
Yes. Couple of things to note. We just were talking about the cover, and on the very first mention of Elektra, they spell her name wrong, which I just know somewhere. Frank Miller sees the cover copy of Daredevil 168 and just cusses under his breath, because there's no way he's happy about that. I would be pissed.
Oh,
if this
yeah.
pivotal character I am contributing to a franchise that I am transforming single-handedly, and there's a typo on my first cover.
And I just spent a month drawing it.
And there's already the stigma about artists becoming writers, and then have a typo on your cover.
This on top of it.
That would just chafe my butt. That would be terrible.
Salt in the wound.
Couple of other things to note, though. Frank Miller has admitted that he pretty much lifted a Spirit story by Will Eisner about Sans Serif, where a childhood sweetheart of the Spirit grows up and becomes an adversary of his. And he pretty much borrowed that same structure for this. And I just think it's interesting that the legacy of Will Eisner's The Spirit is very prevalent in the Frank Miller run, down to some of the compositions they use and like some of the use of title lettering and things like that.
You bring up a great point, and that's something that I've heard Miller talk about in interviews. I'm not sure if it was the Miller-Eisner book, but Miller talks about teaching himself the language of comics and learning to draw comics. You know, he considered it a one-man job, which he says in the Eisner book that I just mentioned. He's unabashedly said he's copied other comics.
Oh, sure.
When he was learning to draw them and stuff. And I think that's something for young cartoonists that they get discouraged from doing that. Especially in fine art school, they beat it over your head, user reference, you know. But I think there's a little bit of where you need to learn that visual language. You should just copy some comics.
I think it's
you should.
healthy. I think it's healthy. If you're not selling it, who cares? If
that's
this is just for you to learn, the way you learn, how do you learn? You're a musician.
Yeah.
Do you learn music without playing other musicians' writing?
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
You need to cover some songs before you write your own.
You need to be able to compare your skill to someone who's a master. And I think that's... Anyway, my favorite Will Eisner quote that I think Frank Miller quoted was saying that the writer and the artist should be as close in collaboration together as possible, ideally in the same brain.
Yeah, they both say that. And, they both view themselves as cartoonists. And, I'm not just a writer.
Right.
I'm not just an artist. I do everything.
Even though Miller has made a career as a writer for other artists in a lot of his seminal works.
And later on, yeah.
So anyway, this is the first time Miller has written anything that I'm aware of. I mean, he's been the artist, like I said, but it's, to my knowledge, just the first writing credit he has on a monthly title. He had been jonesing for Daredevil for a while. He saw it as his opportunity to create a hard-boiled superhero. We've covered that on other shows from Daredevil Week. But
something we haven't mentioned yet is how poorly Daredevil was selling at the time. Yeah, it was almost like an afterthought. It was like a throwaway book at the time. Then Miller stepped in. And he kind of rejuvenated it and saved it.
Not rejuvenated. I mean, I don't know if it ever had the creative heights or the commercial success.
Yeah.
I'm talking about even before Miller, ever.
167
issues before Miller wrote the thing.
I'm sure Wally Wood issues sold.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I bet that's true.
Yeah.
So you got to figure it had to do well enough to make it this far.
I think by the time he took over, though, you're right. Like, it was run down. They're ready to cancel it. It was on the chopping block.
It had kind of held on to that reputation as a poor man's Spider-Man book. Mm-hmm. But, like, down to, like, this first page, Klaus Janson, by the way, underappreciated when talking about Frank Miller's Daredevil. He's listed as an embellisher, which just leads me to think a lot of the renderings that we are so impressed by, a lot of that has to be attributed to Klaus Janson's work. Like the rainfall and the way the skyline in the back is rendered.
We were talking about later in Miller's run that essentially Miller becomes the writer and Janson is drawing it.
Yeah.
On stuff that I think there's a misconception. I've even talked to people that seem to think Miller drew everything. And that's just not the case on the later issues.
Klaus Janson can draw.
He's
a dude is awesome artist.
Awesome artist in his own right.
Absolutely.
And he inked Dark Knight Returns with Frank.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is on the record. You can find interviews of that. You can find. I just watched the DC animated documentary. Is called Masterpiece, is what they called it. And Masterpiece.
Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, Dark Knight Returns, and they interview Janson on that. And has Janson been interviewed a lot? Have you seen a lot with him? I haven't.
I think I saw him interviewed on
a few times
on a couple podcasts, but I don't know how many documentaries I've seen him contribute to.
That's what I mean. It's not a lot.
Underappreciated, and Frank Miller's got a very big personality.
He does.
A very distinct artistic voice. And I'm sure he kind of takes a lot of the oxygen out of the room, but I think Klaus Janson deserves some of that oxygen. Anyway, we can go ahead and summarize some of these first few pages. I mean, Turk is involved. That's worth mentioning. Turk is a low-level thug that kind of feeds Daredevil information willingly or not willingly. That's all well and good. The reason we're all here, though, is if you go to your digital reader, page 5, after Daredevil beats the crap out of these thugs, we see a figure looming overhead, and this is the first appearance of Elektra Natchios.
Yeah, and she is a ninja when she appears. We don't see her face. She's kind of hanging overhead. She's watching everything Daredevil does. And first thing she does is throw a sigh backwards.
What a jerk.
Hits Daredevil in the back of the head with her sigh. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And she's bouncing her sigh off the wall. It's just like, she is female Daredevil.
Yes.
Isn't she?
I mean,
she dresses in red.
Yeah.
He's in red.
She's kind of designed to be like an extreme version of Daredevil. Mm-hmm. And I think instead of a blunt billy club, she has sigh. And I don't think you're wrong. I think there's definitely a yin and yang approach to this that Miller kind of lampshades and uses. Anytime this happens, I'm gonna point it out because I stop in my tracks whenever I see Frank Miller and Klaus Janson render Elektra's face because I think it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah.
They really took a lot of care with how they portrayed her.
I like the light source coming out of the earring.
Yeah.
Too. Oh, yeah. It's like crazy, but it's a cool feature.
It is, and it sets it apart from other comics of the time. I feel like Miller had the reputation of being chiaroscuro, whatever that cinematic word is for like extreme lights and extreme darks, like extreme shadows and stuff like that. Chiaroscuro, it doesn't matter.
Some very great highlights.
Very noir lighting. Like lighting was everything, and Miller is a master of lighting, and I think it's on display even in this first issue. But you get a flashback to when he's in college, and it's scenes similar to what we saw in Man Without Fear, but in a completely different tone, with a completely different attitude coming from Elektra.
It's very different.
Where she's kind of this good little girl who's being followed around by bodyguards, and she's just kind of like this really proper lady walking around the college campus.
Yeah, and Matt drops all of his books, and so she stops.
Oh no! Don't you put that on my boy Matt. That's Foggy Nelson dropped all his books.
Oh really? Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, he drops all the books, but then Elektra goes to stop and helps Matt,
Yes.
but the bodyguards aren't having it.
Right.
They're like, hey, you don't talk to Elektra. She's with us,
Right.
and that's consistent with Men Without Fear.
Yeah.
Where Elektra, when she's walking around with her father, there's all these armed guards all around her, and so that's consistent
For sure. Yeah, and then later, a few days later, it says a paper airplane swings by the bodyguard's head and distracts him long enough for Matt to give Elektra a rose, and they have a little conversation, and you start getting the sense that there's an attraction, but maybe something that they can't really act on because he's insecure about being blind, and she's worried about her overbearing father. But he decides that he's going to go ahead and try it anyway. And so he kind of reveals his special gifts to her almost immediately.
Yeah. Which, he definitely likes her. He's trying to court her. This almost contradicts... We just looked at Man Without Fear.
Yeah.
This almost contradicts that.
It does.
Origin. Because it's
completely does.
Yeah.
And I think, again, where that I just called it a movie, where that graphic novel was written to be a movie at first, I think it gave Miller permission to deviate. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he cares about continuity.
Yeah, I think
Frank Miller gives a crap about continuity. I think he was figuring it out as he goes along, and he George Lucased it when he did Man Without Fear. He just kind of retooled it in the way he decided to change it.
Something I want to bring up that I was talking to Kyle about before we recorded was so much of this gets retconned by Elektra Assassin.
Which I've not read.
Which a lot of this kind of establishes, Elektra is kind of this good girl. She's being protected by her father and stuff.
She's the daughter of a diplomat. She's kind of like a statesman's daughter. Yeah.
Whereas Assassin establishes Elektra around this time as a ninja warrior, which she is clearly not.
It says she's trained in martial arts, but we have no indication that it's to any extent that would make you think that in a few years she's going to slaughter rooms full of people.
And become the deadliest assassin in the world.
Right.
She's one of the highest paid. I think they say that at some point.
Yeah, I think they do. And we read a lot of Daredevil. It's all kind of running together.
I read the entire Frank Miller run.
I read all of it, but the last 6 issues, I couldn't quite get it all done.
Yeah.
I read a lot of it.
I read quite a bit.
Their whole courtship is kind of portrayed in this one third panel page montage sequence.
I like the colors on this.
I was going to bring up the colors.
Yeah.
The colors are beautiful, and I love that kind of full moon silhouette thing just in the middle there. It's a really interesting kind of montage composition. Be
inspired by life, but not limited by reality. It's very cool.
Yeah, very cool. And Foggy and Matt are walking along, and they stumble upon a hostage situation involving Elektra's father. And we see Matt wrap his head in a headscarf, reminiscent of the black suit that he would wear in Man Without Fear.
Yeah, it's almost a reference.
And
or Man Without Fear is a reference to this.
Yes, that's I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
And you get a great shot of his radar sense, a great shot of him leaping rooftops in the silhouette. A lot of Frank Millerisms that are coming out right from the go.
All the graphic elements are present.
Yeah.
I feel like this top panel would be something that was... I know Miller was looking at a lot of manga at this time. And stuff or later on he'd be more influenced by manga. This is almost like a manga drawing. Just abstract,
Sure.
Him saying, even the way the buildings are rendered and stuff.
And you're more familiar with manga than I am, but I trust your judgment. I'll agree.
I read a lot of Dragon Ball.
I would love to read Dragon Ball. We should cover Dragon Ball. So anyway, Matt, who's not Daredevil yet, but Matt...
precursor.
Yeah, proto-Daredevil.
Call him Daredevil.
Basically breaks into the building, fights his way into the room, and signals to Elektra to help him fight off the bad guys. And they throw one of the kidnappers out of the window. And one of the SWAT guys thinks that it's a hostage, and he says, "I just need a clear shot." And then the guy shoots the ambassador. He shoots Elektra's dad.
Yeah, and he dies.
So it's almost like Matt's involvement ends up leading to misunderstandings and miscommunications, and it all goes wrong, and Elektra's father ends up dying.
Elektra, I don't think blames Matt.
I don't get that sense at all.
Yeah, it's really more just she's upset her father's gone, so she mentions she doesn't believe in their laws anymore of their country. And she leaves. She's more presented as like an immigrant in this story than she is.
Yeah, well, she is. She's from Greece, right?
Yeah, she's a Greek. Yeah.
And again, putting her in direct opposition to Matt, who is all about law and order and all about the system working.
And this is the riff.
Yes.
Between them.
So they leave. Important to note that she never cries when her father dies. Like, there's no showing of emotion. She's completely stoic. Mm-hmm. And so then we come back to present day, and Matt wakes up after being hit in the back of the head with a sigh.
Yeah, he's waking up. We get the whole flashback, and I like that as a storytelling device. Sure. Like knock him out, have the flashback, have context in the story, and I think that works better than just cutting the flashback, like the opposite of the Spider-Man cartoon we covered.
Yes. Yeah,
which
had flashbacks inside of flashbacks.
Yeah, which had like flashbacks in the middle of the climactic fight.
Ridiculous.
If you're telling a story, I would much rather you just show the fight and forget the flashbacks. So, and I think this plot device always works well.
I would love to read that Sans Serif Spirit story, because I wonder if it's similar where Sans Serif might knock Spirit out and then reminisces about it. I've read it before a long time ago. I would be knowing kind of the context I have now. It would be cool to read it back to back with Daredevil.
It would be cool. Maybe we do that as like a Patreon thing or something.
Oh yeah.
It would be cool.
If
we have a Patreon.
One of us should set up the Patreon. I might have already. Anyway, the whole premise of this is that Matt is looking for some criminal, and it's the same criminal that Elektra is looking for. So they're all kind of knocking out underworld thugs trying to find this guy, Wallenquist, I think his name is. Wallenquist. And eventually that leads them to, after a lot of interrogating, it leads them to the waterfront, the West Side waterfront, where Elektra confronts these thugs in this fight. I'm skipping pretty far ahead.
Yeah. So
unless there's something you want to say about it.
No, really. It's
just investigating, knocking heads, trying to figure out how to get Wallenquist to be handed over.
It's just like Daredevil tracking him with the cigarette smoke and stuff. It's like, typical noir trap means.
Very noir, and I don't know how much Daredevil was this kind of an investigative, hard-boiled character.
He's almost like Batman here, like he's throwing the guy off the building and catching him and stuff. Yeah. So like
that was a cool moment.
Yeah, that's almost similar to like Batman or something. Anyway, back to Elektra.
Yeah.
So Elektra's beating these thugs down.
Yeah, and she ends up getting hit by a dart, which was a little surprising.
That was random.
Yeah.
That was random.
And they're going to give her a pair of cement shoes and throw her into the ocean and drown her. But then it turns out that this seaplane that's been sitting on the water this whole time has Daredevil inside. And he blows up the plane and jumps into the action and pretty much takes everyone out. And is stopped when this guy has... when Wallenquist has Elektra at gunpoint. And just before he's ready to fire, Daredevil yells, "Olive oil, low, hit him low," which is what he said when he tried to save her father. Says, "Hey, hit him low, olive oil," because Olive Oil is the Popeye character who had dark black hair, and it was like a nickname he had. And Olive Oil being like and this is probably more like it. She's Greek. Olive oil is an export of Greece. So, That's my assumption. Anyway.
You're right.
So, thank you for validating.
You're right.
So Elektra, listens, takes care of it, but that gives away that Daredevil is Matt, and so she says, "Matt, is it you?" And
I didn't catch that line was the same. Is what I'm reflecting on. The hit 'em low olive oil. I that all went over my head.
Well,
and the Popeye reference,
says,
I didn't get it either.
And maybe it's not a Popeye reference. Maybe it's the fact that she's Greek reference. I don't know. I thought of, maybe it's just because I'm a cartoon head. I thought of Popeye before I thought
she does kick someone in a similar way in the hostage situation with her father.
Yeah.
Like when Daredevil bursts in, she does this double kick in the chair. I don't know if that's on purpose here, but she does the same kick here after he says the olive oil thing. Sure. So maybe that is on purpose. I don't know. With Miller, I could believe it. She kicks this dude. There's a little bit of tension here where they kiss.
They kiss. She realizes it's Matt. He kisses her, and then she cries for the first time, as if like everything she ran away from has come back to her now that she's found Matt again.
And they keep having this romance throughout the run where they're kind of like they're off and on.
Yeah.
Like one of them's into the other one.
Yeah.
But it's never reciprocated.
And they won't just go for it, right?
Yeah.
Well, and Matt's in a committed relationship for most of the Miller run.
Mm. I forget the girl's name.
Not that stops him. Heather?
Yeah.
Heather.
Yeah. She's in a ton of the issues. And,
yeah, she is.
And,
but I don't think she's
trying
to
think what she does, really.
I don't know. I mean, ultimately, it's not very consequential, I guess. I mean, she knows Matt is Daredevil.
She gets fed up with... the page I remember is... she calls Matt. Matt puts her on hold because he has to go take care of this case.
Yeah, I agree.
And he starts, like, talking to the guy about the case, and it's a 6-panel grid, and she slowly walks away from the payphone and leaves him. So it's like even Daredevil's love life is rocky. Still.
I will even say that Matt never deserves any of the women he ends up with.
Yeah, he never comes off as like... he's kind of always an a-hole.
Well, he's far too invested in either his law work or his vigilante work. But, he's...
A true Catholic. He's all in.
He's all in. He's a workaholic.
Yeah.
And he's he can't commit to a woman because he's just too horny. He's too
vigilant.
He's too easily drawn in by other women. He's
almost like you're saying he's just a player.
Yeah,
he's just a player. He's with Black Widow. He's with Elektra. He's with the girl that he's with as Matt Murdock. He can't commit. He has commitment issues.
Cannot commit.
Yeah, and I could see that. That's almost like a subtext within Daredevil. Yeah. That's like they don't ever. Marvel never writes in Daredevil comics like Matt Murdock and he was a huge hoe. It's like it's subtly there though.
Yeah. I mean he's like he's a thrill seeker. And
I see where you're going with this. Your time is
complacent too.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Elektra is so exciting to him, is because she's dangerous.
Yeah.
And so he's with this safe woman Heather, and then this.
She's unpredictable, and that satisfies something.
Yeah. And you get it later with Typhoid Mary, and you get it later with other things. But anyway, that's just how I read it. But
I don't think you're far off with that.
Miller set out to create a character who embodied what he felt a superhero love story should be like. And it should be over the top. It should be theatrical. It should be kind of chaotic. It should be operatic.
Which Elektra origin is canon? I don't know.
I don't think Miller cares.
Yeah. But let me pose this, which do you prefer? Do you think this is a better telling, or do you think Elektra Cold Assassin from Man Without Fear is the better take?
Where she's psychotic.
She is psychotic in that version. She's totally unhinged.
Oh man, it's so interesting.
She's a little more weighted.
She's a little inconsistent across the various different, even with the same creators. I kind of think I like the idea that it wasn't just the one instance of her father dying that made her snap. I think I like the idea that she's kind of had this cold-blooded nature that Matt helps her restrain, but she's also trying to bring out in Matt. Like, they're bad and good for each other. Like, he's good for her and she's very bad for him. I think I like that kind of toxic chaos in that relationship more than she was good until this bad thing happened and then she became like Batman and she like had to like buckle down and become this cold-blooded killer.
That's certainly the take that the Netflix show did,
yes.
Where it was like Elektra is evil and Matt is trying to bring her back into the light a little bit more, but
but she pulls him into the dark too.
Yeah, so she's just bad news though.
Yeah, this tug of war.
Bad news.
She's bad news.
Yeah,
but I like that though because I feel like Matt wants to have a girl like Karen Page where he can be happy, but he can't be because he's not even Daredevil, he's Matt Murdock. Like, the kind of danger that Elektra gives him is what he actually wants. He is what he actually deserves. Like, he doesn't feel like he deserves the kind of security and happiness that a Karen Page or a Heather Glenn can bring him.
I'll go so far as to say this. I feel like Elektra serves Matt Murdock's alter ego as Daredevil, not so much Matt.
Yeah.
Because there's a split.
There is.
Yeah, there's Matt Murdock, lawyer by day, but there's also the boy that goes out and steals the police's nightstick, and
that's the angle she's feeding.
That's Daredevil,
Absolutely.
And that's who Elektra is in love with.
Yep.
Is that Matt?
Yep.
Yeah.
The devil in him, like that we talked about that Charlie Cox monologue where he says the Murdock boys have the devil in them, and she is placating that devil. I think that's my preferred reading. Comics are long, messy, soap opera. There are all types of flavors of Elektra where she's like the noble warrior or whatever, and that's not bad either. I think the noble warrior Elektra would be happy with Matt Murdock Daredevil, and that's probably like the ideal pairing. The character that Frank Miller gave us later is not the noble warrior Elektra. It's the unhinged assassin Elektra.
Yeah.
In his Klaus Janson collaboration in the actual Daredevil run, like I think she ends up erring more towards noble warrior later.
Yeah.
But then she ends up dying.
What you're touching on is that like this. In the context of Miller's run, Elektra is a villain.
Yes.
Anything that makes her a hero came in later.
Yep.
And I think Miller, when he was writing this, intended her to be a villain.
Yep.
She's 100% a bad guy.
Until the very end, right before she dies.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because she's trying to say... We'll talk about that.
Yeah. We're going to cover that later.
But I love that question, though. About what kind of Elektra you prefer. So...
Yeah, because there's
do you have an answer? Is there like a...
Oh, for like my favorite version of Elektra? I almost think she works great as a solo character. Yeah. Like I think in the context of her own book, she was born to not be in a Daredevil comic forever. It's like I think she stands alone.
Oh, Daredevil can't contain her.
Yeah, I think she stands alone as her own character so well, and I think it's interesting when you could just do a Daredevil comic of Elektra out doing assassination stuff, or you could do a Daredevil or an Elektra story exploring her relationship with the Hand. She is a very complex character on her own without Daredevil.
I like her in the same way that I'm thinking.
I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it does, and I'm gonna add a little more to it, and then we'll wrap.
Okay.
In the same way that I really like Punisher as like an element of chaos to drop into a story, I think Elektra serves that purpose. So really, you could take Elektra and you could drop her into a Spider-Man story where she just completely wreaks havoc on Peter's life.
That'd be fun.
Or you take her and you drop her into, I literally name a character in the same way that you would drop Punisher into a...
Longshot versus Elektra.
Right, yeah. Oh, Longshot would be dead. But you know what I mean? Like she is there to stir the pot. And I think that's what she does in Matt's life, and that's what she could do in all of our lives. Carl, what do you have to plug?
Summation. www.carllucasstrauss.com. I have an online store where you can find my independent comics. I do a book called Shogun Bear and the House of Horrors. I also have mini comics, Captain Devil, Ramsey Tales, and Ashkins and Interstellar Man. Kyle, what do you got?
Kofi.com/Kyle Wendell. You can get my offerings of Cornelius Armstrong Adventures and Antics, Thunderduck, Mad Science Rejects, and all their pending sequels. Get us for some private commissions, please. Contact at issueswithcartoons.com. Follow, like, subscribe, share, rate, and review us on all the podcast platforms where you can find us. And until tomorrow for Daredevil Week, where there will be more issues to come,
stay tuned.